Now, this year's number 2 pick, this is crazy. I mean, I just have no idea really where the Lions are going with this right now. But there is one spot that does feel like they could go, and I know you don't want to hear this. I have to throw it out there, man. It just safeties could definitely make sense.
Dion, good morning, man. How are you?
Hey, how we doing, guys? Just making sure you guys can hear me. Just wanted
Yes,
to
sir.
Yep.
We can hear you.
We got you.
Awesome,
You
You sound good. You sound good.
coming
love
on
the
big
hat.
day, so-
Love the hat. I'm just gonna keep complimenting you for the first 10 seconds, so if you don't mind me.
No, it's perfectly fine.
Take it where you can get it. Trust me.
I'll throw some back, but I can't see right now, but I'll throw some back. But nah, the hat.
Oh
man,
yeah,
love
no,
the hat,
I don't look
you know?
anything like you, so no, we're not gonna compare each other right now. You're doing
Oh,
great.
really?
I'm just sitting over here in a goddamn polo. You're good. You got
It
the
looks
swag
good, though.
this morning.
It looks comfortable, man. It looks really good though. No, I
Yeah,
like
it's
it.
not. It's not that comfortable
He
to be
said you
honest.
look comfortable.
Man, me and Adam's top button, man, it's choking.
Oh man,
It's
I mean
choking
mine's
both.
fine, but
That's
I
what
don't know,
matters
Jeff. You
most,
can
is
complain.
comfortable, man.
Jeff likes to be choked, Dion. It's a different conversation. Anyways,
Wait, pause?
we need to talk about the NFL draft. Dion, talk to me about number 2 overall. Obviously, it's the center of attention for everybody, whether it's Malik Willis, Kyle Hamilton, and edge rusher. Walk me through what you believe the Lions should do with the pick, what you expect them to do with the pick, and really what it means for this football team moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 2 pick, just like every draft pick, is going to have a lot of importance because I mean that the Lions told us from the beginning it was going to be about building through the draft, and I think we're seeing that free agency plan, and I think it's going to follow similar patterns. I think you'll be more aggressive when you start finding some success, and they'll look to kind of push a little bit harder. But I think for this season, you could kind of see what was going to kind of take place. We had a little bit of a lighter offseason in terms of free agency, kind of like what we did last year, almost signing these guys to prove it, young players, and that they earn it, they can come back. And I think that's a big part of their laying the foundation is doing it that way. Now, this year's number 2 pick, this is crazy. I mean, I just have no idea really where the Lions are going with this right now. No direction. I have no clue because I feel like there's so many different spots that they could go with. But I think they've also done this throughout the rest of the offseason is they left it open so that they can go many different directions. But there is one spot that does feel like they could go. And I know you don't want to hear this.
I
But
hate you.
I have to throw it out there, man. It just safeties could definitely make sense at 2 for them. I could definitely see them doing it. Now, look, I'm with a lot of other people on this. I'm all about building through the defensive line, through the trenches. I think, when I look at this team and I look where Brad Holmes is coming from the Rams, and how dominant those defenses are. I mean, it all started with the front. You didn't have to worry always about who the linebackers were, sometimes who the cornerback. I mean, you had one great cornerback there in Jalen. You made some moves here and there when he started winning to get the Peters and things like that. But it was all about the defensive line, mainly because Aaron Donald. But you always knew the defensive line was going to be one of the best in football every year, made everything else look way better. So I'm all about that. But safety definitely feels like a spot they could go at 2. Of course, that would be Kyle Hamilton. If they don't trade out, because of the fact that we haven't seen him grab really one in free agency. Now, they did bring back Tracy Walker, which I thought was a must. But I don't know if they're going to bring anybody in. I think they look at Will Harris, not necessarily as they want him to be a 2 safety, and I don't think many fans want to see that, but they more look at him kind of like a P.J. Williams type, a 3rd safety, can play cornerback, can play everywhere. He even called him more athletic than P.J. Aaron Glenn did. So I think 2 very possible for safety. I think every team just values different positions, and they always talk about the importance. For us, safeties really don't come off the field. Like Tracy, week 10 on, I don't think he missed a single snap defensively. So I think when you look at that, I think the Lions need another versatile piece if they're going to go safety. I think they need a guy that's not, all right, he just drops back in coverage. Because to me, Tracy Walker is not built to be just one or the other. Like when I look at the Saints, I look at what they had with Marcus Williams last year and with Marcus Williams, and they also had Malcolm Jenkins. Malcolm Jenkins is a box guy. He's a former cornerback. He plays well in the box. He plays well in man coverage. So it allows Marcus Williams to be the deep safety, to never really set foot in the box, play back all the time, and dominate in coverage. But the run support's not really there. But they've also had Von Bell before that, so they were able to keep that going. For Tracy, I don't like him just deep. I don't like him just in the box. So to me, you need someone across from him that can do a lot of the same type of things so that you can have those split coverage looks. They're coming from the Fangio background. So those guys that can kind of bring it all to the table would not shock me if they went that direction. But at the same time, like I said, I think there's a lot of doors that are open with the 2 pick, man. I mean, I don't think it's going to be quarterback. If we want to go into that, I don't think it's going to be the quarterback position. I love the rumors, though. I think the rumors are great for the Lions, but I don't think they're going to go that direction. I just think when you kind of look at the direction they've went, bringing back Tim Boyle, I don't think David Blau's a lock. I haven't seen his contract, but I'm assuming he's going to have a chance to kind of be like a placeholder where he could be out. But I think when you kind of see the picture of, okay, Goff's here for another year, just look at his contract. I think what they saw last year, I think they believe they can win with a guy. So I think it's, let's keep building.
Yeah,
this team
Dion,
around.
honestly, look, when we want to talk about the safety at two, I can't justify that move, even if he's an all-pro safety 3 out of his first 5 years. How much is that changing this football team in terms of the win-loss column? I will agree with you, though. All the directions point into them committing to Jared Goff, at least for the foreseeable future, this year for sure, and possibly even into the 2023 season. I don't see them making the move at quarterback. It's nice rumor talk. I don't think they're going to fall in love with Malik Willis or any of these quarterbacks at number 2. Having said that, it's got to be an edge for me. It has to be an edge rusher. Kayvon Thibodeau, Aiden Hutchinson if he's available. Hell, I'd even consider Trayvon Walker at number 2 before I'd even consider the safety, because that is the least, or if not the second least valuable position on the football field on the defensive side of the ball. And with this team, they've been bottom of the league in pass rush for the last 6 to 8 years. I don't see them making a move for Hamilton at 2. I know Vegas has them as the favorites to take Kyle Hamilton, but damn it, Dion, I don't know if I can stomach a safety at 2. Not even because of the Okuda pick. Just in general, nobody takes a safety at 2. That is not a thing, and there's a reason for it. I don't know what I do with myself, man.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. And look, I'm trying to, because I see, you see the odds and it just feels like they're going that direction. I don't know if they're going to do it or not, but I'm trying to okay, well, why would this make sense for the Lions? And there's, different people have different analytics. I do think it comes down to who the team is and what they value. And, you can go to Pro Football Focus. They'll tell you that, okay, that's one of the most valuable positions in today's NFL. They'll say coverage over pass rush. I think the fact is you got to have both. We know you got to have both. And like I said, I'm with you in terms of I want the D-line to be dominant. I want this thing because they're going to rotate. I want it to just throw waves at offensive line because we need the pass rush. We struggled to get the pass rush. Like you said, I think last year we were actually a worse pass rushing team than we were the year before, which is just very hard to say out loud. It's like we were not expecting that after all the moves that we kind of made last offseason. But it does feel like it's kind of trending that direction. Now, with the edge position, it's interesting to me because I feel like Hutchinson's going 1 now. That's what I feel like. We'll see if it happens. I think the Lions, if somehow they could get someone to move up to 1 and take that Jag spot and push him out and Hutchinson falls, this could be one of those scenarios where you kind of hear all this stuff about Malik, and then all of a sudden someone moves, takes Jacksonville's spot, Aiden falls to 2, and the Lions take Hutchinson. I could see something like that playing out. But the edge position, I got a little pause on because – like safety, I feel like there's some really good safeties that could hit 32, 34. The Lions could pick up that could come in and help us right at 1. I think there's a couple safeties that I would feel very comfortable with at those spots, even maybe back at 66, depending on who falls. But I could argue I feel kind of similar with the edge position because I have just some pause on some of those top guys, like Hutchinson. But if we're talking about Kayvon, who seems more likely to be there, I like the guy. All the off the field stuff, we'll see how that goes. I don't think he's been super, like all the political answers, which we'll see how that ends up working for him. But what I do like about Kayvon is he's got a lot of tricks in his bag to me. We know the explosive get off. It would give the Lions a different element. My little concern that I've been finding with the film is I just feel like as the game kind of goes on, it seems like he starts to kind of run out of gas and be less impactful on games. And then you look at Trayvon Walker, my big concern is just the role that he's played. Now, I know you could expand out of that. Lions are going to go for more 4D linemen, so they could put him at defensive end, and maybe that'll be fine for him. I think he's a little raw there because it's not a role that he's played. We see him lining up inside the tackle all the time at Georgia versus Jermaine Johnson, right, who went from Georgia, had a really good season last year at Florida State. But with Jermaine Johnson, when he was with Georgia, he was still playing at the edge. He was playing outside the tackle. That's not what Trayvon Walker's doing. So it does concern me a little bit in terms of he doesn't feel like he's going to be elite impact right away. But I can definitely see where you come from with the upside, especially after watching the combine. So I'm not this guy has to be that pick at 2. I'm trying to figure out who I feel that guy is. And I think if you did go safety at 2 and they waited till 32 or 34 and they wanted to get another pass rusher in there, because to me, I'm good with D-line or edge. I think there's some names that I really like out there still at those spots.
Dion, number 1, thank you for joining us, by the way. And if you guys haven't already, please go check out Dose of Dion on YouTube. He makes great content. And I want to bring up, you already kind of alluded to it, Malik Willis. And we had our draft analyst, Scott Bischoff, in the room, and he talked to us yesterday about Malik Willis, and he said something that shook me. He said, Malik Willis, out of all the players in this draft, he is the only one, if he hits his upside, that can turn around a franchise as quick as anybody. And I thought that was interesting. Obviously, it's very respected Scott Bischoff. I know you alluded to it already, but what is your take on the Malik Willis train? A lot of Lions fans are getting on board. A lot of people like me and Adam are kind of staying a pat. You need an edge rusher. There's more positions. It's about positional value. Where are you right now on Malik? Kenny Pickett, just the quarterbacks in this class, or are you on the kind of the train that says, let's wait till next year to get a quarterback? Where are you right now?
Yeah, well, just in general with the quarterback position for me, I'm cool with waiting. I think Jared Goff showed us definitely enough in the second half. It's like, we can win with this guy. You keep building around him. If he's successful, great. You go forward with the guy. Like, you don't want to be in a spot where you're chasing quarterbacks because a lot of teams find themselves in that hole and it's hard to get out of it. So I don't want to be in that spot. If this is the guy, great. And I like what Goff did in the second half of the season. But specifically talking about these quarterbacks, when I look at Malik Willis, everybody says it has that crazy high upside. For me, it's kind of a weird thing because I feel like you can almost argue he's a little raw, going back, not playing a ton of quarterback in high school, going into college, transferring from Auburn, saying he was immature at the time. You could almost say he's a little raw. When I watch Malik Willis, I feel like, the guy's got all the talent. Like, if he knows where the ball needs to go, he can put the ball there. He's scary with the ball in his hands as a runner. He gives me Lamar vibes. Not to that level, but he's really strong in the lower body, breaks a lot of tackles. To me, though, if he knows where the ball needs to go, he can make a lot of passes happen that, he could kind of separate himself just in that alone. We saw that at the Senior Bowl. Obviously the pro day is what the pro day is. I'm not going to get too far into that. But to me, he can make all the plays. It's just some of kind of where he's at right now. To me, when you watch him, there's a lot of just 1-2 reads for him. It's a lot of, very basic things that they're kind of asking him to do offensively. They're not giving a lot of pre-snap answers. They're just kind of like, all right, here's the ball. If he knows where the ball is, and you can see pre-snap, he's always, looking, trying to figure out, okay, where do I go? But if he knows where the ball needs to go, he can lay it up there. It's just that where the Lions feel about that. I have a little bit of questions about how that would fit. The Lions said they would change their scheme if they had, the right person. You should. But it just, you bring in this Saints coach, right? You bring in another one. I kind of have the feeling that the pass game is going to sort of try to trend sort of that direction. I don't know if Malik's the best fit for that. I don't know if he is. To me, Malik's got all the talent. He would help in the run game. I think he'd do really well in play action, rollouts, layers. But, just the release isn't always as snappy as some of these other guys coming out. Definitely has a little wind up to it. We know he makes some bad decisions, but to me, it's just because he's not making the reads himself, all the reads himself. So I think he's just raw there. But with the other quarterback, throw out a couple names. I would look late Skylar Thompson. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in this class. I don't know where he's going to go. I think he may go higher than a lot of people think out of Kansas State. Because to me, that guy can run an offense. He showed a lot of improvement last year. I know the numbers don't stick out at you, but I was very impressed with Skylar Thompson. He brings a lot of elements to the game. That's someone I'm looking at for sure. If we wanted to pick up a third to take that Blau spot, something like that, I'm cool with that. I'm not even sure if I think Malik's the best right now, but we know the upside is there. Like, I'm a Sam Howell guy. I like Howell a lot too, but I wouldn't take him at 2. I'm not drafting Sam Howell at 2.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page, Dion, in terms of timeline for the Detroit Lions. I still think they're 1 year out for going after that quarterback. And even, let's say, in this alternate universe, they go after Malik Willis at number 2. Okay, well, what have you done? What have you accomplished? I understand they'll be picking at 32, 34, but now you've already committed. This is the franchise guy. We're on the clock. Here we go. And my evolution for Brad Holmes, for Dan Campbell over the next 2 seasons is they win 3 games year 1. All right, fine. Year 1's typically a write-off. Year 2, I expect 6 to 9 wins this year, given the schedule is so friendly. Year 3, you need to be contending for the division. And the way the timeline adds up with Malik Willis at 2 this year is, by the time you get to season 3, you're going to have a guy making his first NFL start likely the year you want to compete for the division. And I don't think they have a roster like San Francisco, like Kansas City when they went up and traded for their quarterbacks, like even Aaron Rodgers when he fell all the way back to Green Bay, when Lamar Jackson fell to a playoff team in Baltimore. There's such different situations that I don't see that timeline fitting. What I see is Jared Goff starts this year. They'll have the capital to move up if they want to and get a quarterback the following year. And then they're going to have that 1 year window where they sit him. They'll have a much better football team going into that 3rd year. That by the 4th year, when that rookie is ready to play, well, I think you're more ready to take a shift like the Kansas City Chiefs did with a Patrick Mahomes. But again, there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to even draft the right quarterback. Who knows?
Right. No, that's a really good point. I think you could see how what you're saying. I could see how it definitely could end up playing out like that. And it makes sense. I like where the Lions offense is going. I think they need a lot of work on defense, but they definitely don't feel like, just based off of last year, they're in a spot where that's how the timeline does match up. And I think even if you look back to when Holmes with the Rams and you kind of look at how they went about things and how they turned it around with Sean McVay, the plan to me, I look at the plan as, our year 2 this offseason is like the year 1 when Sean McVay got there, to kind of the way that we're hitting free agency. I think it's very similar. You kind of get those weapons around your quarterback, Jared Goff. You see what he can do because, halfway through the season last year, they're like, yeah, we can't fairly evaluate the guy. But then the second half, you're winning games. So it's just kind of a weird thing. I think this year when you just see it, you get some of these weapons around him. You start to feel really good about the offense you're putting around. And I'm with you. Like, the defense definitely was not where it needs to be last year for you to be a contender. As a whole last year, there was a lot of issues that we had where it was like, it doesn't matter who's our quarterback, we're not going to be winning many games. One thing we still need to do to me is get a backup offensive tackle. I'm still riding that train. It needs to happen. But no, I definitely see where you're coming from with the timeline. I think a year out makes sense. And then again, if Goff does well this year, you don't even have to go after it. You got 2 first-round picks to keep adding to the team, and you're in a really good spot. So I think that's where the plan is set at. Last year was build a foundation. This year, let's put some weapons. Let's start winning some games. And if we can get to kind of that, 8 wins type of, 8 range next year, if you feel good about how Goff played, you just keep building around it, and now you're making this playoff push.
The question I have for you, Dion, is if I gave you a choice, all right? I told you could trade the number 2 pick right now for any player in the league. Am I fair or am I wrong to say your first 10 selections 10 selections would likely be young franchise quarterbacks?
Oh man, I've never heard that question before. No, that's
what you go for, right? If I told you could get Justin Herbert or one of these young guys, a Joe Burrow, you would do it, wouldn't you?
You'd be crazy not to. I think.
And if I told you you would trade,
absolutely.
And if I told you could trade that number 2 pick for any young premier edge rusher right now, Chase Young, T.J. Watt, whoever it may be. No injury concerns, none of that, just at face value. Wouldn't you trade that number 2 pick for that player?
I don't know about Chase Young, but definitely like a T.J. Watt or something.
Yeah, I'm talking that level of production.
Sure.
We're talking one of the premier edge rushers, right? Because that's what you value.
Absolutely.
Would you trade that pick? Would you trade that pick for Jesse Bates, Minkah Fitzpatrick?
For
Isaiah
you just saying
Simmons?
like one of them?
Yeah, would you trade for any safety in the league right now? You see where I'm going with this?
I get what you're and I agree with you, man. Like, to me, it's just like who's there, and I'm looking at the 2 pick. I'm like, I just want to throw position out the board for a second, just be like, who do I feel like is the best player regardless? Is it a tackle? Like, who is this guy? And
I think Kayvon and Kyle are 1 and 2 up there in terms of raw talent ceiling.
Would you put Kayvon above Kyle in terms of not position value, but just at their own position?
At their own position, what does that mean? Own position?
In terms of prospect, you look at him.
Yeah, like coming in this draft, okay, Kayvon where he is in his position, versus where Kyle is at the safety position.
Kyle is head and shoulders, I could argue, above the other safeties in terms of raw talent. The issue with Kyle Hamilton is he does come with injury history. He does come into a position where it's not the most valuable position, unfortunately, in today's NFL. Corners and safeties are at such a disadvantage most of the time, given the rules are all in favor against them. So that's the challenging part. I would say Kyle Hamilton is probably the better prospect at his position. But when we look at Kayvon Thibodeau, he has all the tools. He has the speed off the line of scrimmage. He has multiple ways of getting to the quarterback. It's the questioning of motor, man. That is one of the most unsolvable questions you can answer with any draft prospect is how bad do you want it? And Kayvon Thibodeau seems like a guy that is about him more than anything else. That could be a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard a scout say that to me, 90% of players in the league is all about up here. It's above the shoulders how it works out in the National Football League. And it's just Kayvon's just, it's just a little weird one to me, right? Even just like I said, this last season, I'm watching his games and I'm just like, man, there's stretches where he's super impactful, but then he just kind of seems to just phase out a little bit as the game goes on. Now, maybe if he's got a little rotation guy in there with Charles Harris, that's not as much of an issue because Kayvon's, you're saying it. He's a great athlete. The dude, I don't know if I've seen an edge rusher this year that can man covers running backs like he does. Like the guy will drop 15 yards into coverage. So it's like, whoa, he's a great athlete. Like I don't question that at all. It's it's just that, it's just how the Lions feel about the shoulders up. I think they would take Aiden Hutchinson if he was there and Kayvon was there. I think they take Hutchinson, even with the concern of him saying that he prefers to play in a stand-up role. But yeah, Kayvon is, he's still in a weird spot with me. I'm trying to sell myself on it because I wouldn't be mad. Like if we sat there and took Kayvon, I wouldn't be like, dang, we took Kayvon. I'd be hyped because like we need a pass rusher and I'm down for it.
Fair enough. Dion, before we let you go, I think you've made a very compelling case for what the Lions should do with their draft picks. But walk me through the offseason so far. It has been quiet. I think it's been actually very good. I love the moves they've done. I like the fact that they're not committing too much money long term. There's no need. The team is not ready. But having said that, walk me through the offseason and your expectations for this football team this season.
Yeah, I think the free agency period, again, I think you could kind of see it coming. Like I thought maybe there could be a couple of multi-year deals in there if there was a guy that they felt really good about, that maybe had the connection. I know everybody's bringing up Marcus Williams, maybe something like that. But I think it makes sense what they're doing, and it's kind of falling off of last year. I like it. Like you said, we're not putting a whole bunch of money. Like I don't want to give DJ Chark a 3-year deal. I don't know how comfortable I feel with giving a lot of guaranteed money, throwing a 3-year deal at him because I'm like, he's just had these injuries. But you give him a year, you let him go out there and prove it. They always say, well, where I'm wanted. I'm perfectly cool with that. And then again, if you play well, we're going to re-sign you. We're going to have the money because we don't have those long-term contracts anyway. So we'll have the money to re-sign you if you want to come back. So I like it. I have no issues with the approach because to me, it's the plan that they kind of said that they were going to do, and they've stuck to it. I don't want a guy that's like, yeah, we have this sort of plan. You kind of have a feel for it, and then they go, there's like, hold up, we won 3 games. Let's start changing this plan up. Like, let's follow the plan a little bit and let's see where this takes us because you clearly had this thing kind of lined out before, you were hired when you were kind of pitching your case to be brought in. It's going to be very important in the draft. I could see trades start to come into play, again, down the road, if they start to show some winning. To me, my expectation for this season, like you guys, I need to see the Lions winning some football games. Like I think the Lions are feeling that way with expectations. To me, Goff's going to be the quarterback. They need to win games. Look, if Goff doesn't win the job here, who knows about his future? This is a very big year for him next year. So I feel like, next year I expect some wins. I expect the Lions to be in that, 8-win type of range, 8+, not too far under that. I expect them to kind of fall into that kind of spot just based on, look, you saw what issues you had. I think offense is close enough. You just need a little more help there, backup tackle. And then defense, you need a lot of help. But that's kind of my expectation.
Love it. Dion, thank you so much for joining us this morning, man. We can't thank you enough. That was so fun. Have to have you back on soon. Probably before the draft. Have to do it, of course, after. But Dion, again, thank you so much. Everybody at home, if you haven't already, subscribe, go find his YouTube channel, Dose of Dion. Search for it on YouTube. And, of course, give him a follow on social media as well. Dion, appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, thank you guys, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. Super fun.
Anytime, man. You have the number. We really love the work you're doing here, so it's not going unnoticed, man. You're awesome.
Yes,
so thank you so much, Dion. Shut up, Fish. Oh, guys, Dose of Dion, what a good guy. Loved him. Loved every bit of him. We got a half hour out of him. That was awesome. That was a good half hour. This Kyle Hamilton stuff is going to be the end of me, though. Jeff, honestly, I mean, you may need to take over the show April 28th or 29th.
Yeah, that Ambassador Bridge. Abe's gonna have to be over there guarding it.
I'm gonna be at the. I'm having a watch party from the Ambassador Bridge. How about that? You guys can go do it at the Brass Rail and watch the draft. I'm not going. I'm gonna be at the Ambassador Bridge waiting. I will be waiting for that
live
pick.
streaming. Yeah.
I'll be live streaming where it all ends or where it all could begin. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Could be an edge rusher.